Art Powell is his brother's keeper. To see Art is to see Scott. For 35 years, the identical twins with a calming presence moved in lockstep. 9/11 changed the world and their bond. Scott was at the Pentagon when the symbol of American power was attacked. And 20 years since that fateful day, Art is remembering his other half with hope, compassion, and music.
Just playing some chords that I just play around with just to kind of get in the mood to write.
Art and Scott Powell, known affectionately as Dim Twins, were the kind of collaborators who finished each other's sentences and songs.
Tell my brother, hey, I got something in the room there, so maybe try to see if you can come up with some chords or something. I'll show up later on and hear a whole body of work.
The Powell brothers started making music during elementary school hours, and by high school they were honing their writing, performing, and producing skills as students at Duke Ellington School of the Arts. They'd end up spending hours here at Q Recording Studios in Falls Church, turning out songs for big labels and R&B stars.
This is a song called Good Thing that we did for Glenn Jones.
And what are we hearing in this song?
My brother did all the keyboard work and I did the drum programming.
Music was their lives, but as the business changed, Scott traded his piano keyboard for a computer keyboard. He became a Microsoft certified systems engineer and took a contract role at the Pentagon. Soon, Art would end up there too.
We had a fascination with computers and music, like technology using to produce music. And so for us, it wasn't that big of a stretch.
On September 11th, Art was playing with a band and touring Europe. He was watching television when he learned about an attack on the World Trade Center. He immediately thought of his brother at the Pentagon and called his office, but Scott had stepped away.
And I said, well, hey, when my brother gets back to the office, this time I called. And then I hung up the phone and another caption came across the screen saying a plane had just flown into the Pentagon. And so I picked up the phone and called back, but there was no answer to his cell or desk phone.
Scott would have called. Hours passed and reality began to sink in.
My mom had probably called me even before that announcement and said, look, your brother's gone. Just remember the good times.
A lot of times my brother will lay down a drum track and then I'll just come and I'll write some chords or a bass line.
This was the song Art played at his brother's memorial, Scott's Hands on the Keys of Life.
There's something relaxing about it, but I think what you hear melodically is a hopefulness,
Art and Scott produced an entire catalog of songs that were never released. They always felt the masses never got an opportunity to hear the evolution of their sound. A sound left for Art to continue 2 decades later. There is inspiration from Scott, his favorite guitar.
It's here always hanging out in the studio, encouraging me to create more, so yeah, I appreciate its presence.
And this cherished symbol of service and unity.
The flag that was presented to the family was actually flown over the Pentagon. To me, it represents hope. It doesn't say that anyone's gotten there, but it says that we're capable and we can do this.
Art believes the best way to honor the souls like his brother who lost their lives on 9/11 is to turn the lens on us, to be more compassionate and more considerate of others. Scott was also a loving father to his 3 children. His legacy continues through them and through his granddaughter, who also seems to share his love of music.